So there we have it. Quite a lot to digest, and then moving on to our next speaker, Adi, who will be talking about architecture and the open finance technology stack. Right now, to put this into some context, what I'd like to do is introduce Adi, and as the co-founder and chief product technology officer of Ayoconnect. Now, I may have pronounced that incorrectly, but AY Connect is Southeast Asia's largest open finance API, right? So before I get into any more elaboration on that, we have Adi here. Hi, Adi. Welcome.
Thanks, Jonathan. Glad to be here.
And we look forward to you talking about on this architecture. And let me see, we can see your slides, so you're all set to go. So enjoy the session, everyone. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. I'm Adi Vora, co-founder and CPTO at Ayoconnect, an open finance platform based out of Indonesia. I'm really excited to be part of Apidays India this year. And for the next 20 minutes, I'm going to try and speak about how we have architectured our open finance technology stack here at Ayoconnect. Right? Ayoconnect's vision is to power leading companies of today and tech unicorns of tomorrow to help ease them launch financial products and solutions on their platforms in a matter of days and or weeks, as opposed to months as it takes right now in the ecosystem. Um, we've built an abstraction layer between merchants and vendors, and these vendors could be banks, could be financial institutions, could be utility players, um, by providing a structured API framework to integrate multiple different products seamlessly with ease. So to start off with today, I would like to talk about some of the use cases of open finance and how it has played a part globally. So if you see here, there are a lot of things that we take for granted these days, especially in the Western world. Like bank account opening, which Shopify kind of gives us. Walmart gives us a BNPL service, a one-click service, very similar to how what Amazon does in India these days as well. We have branded cards that Wise gives us, powered by Galileo, another API powered by Open Finance. There's on-the-spot insurance that you get for cars these days. Tesla provides it, some provide it in India as well. You could give consent to access some transactional data on your from your banking to analyze your spend, income, and understand where you can save. So all of these use cases are powered by open finance APIs, and that's kind of where globally it's gone, and it's kind of having an influence, especially in India, but in Southeast Asia as well. It's a new thing that's come in there, and it's growing pretty fast. So let's get into how what Ayoconnect has built and how Ayoconnect is part of this system right now, right? So let's take a phone top up, and if you go to a small store in Indonesia and you want to top up or recharge your phone credits, most probably it'll be powered by Ayoconnect's APIs. You want to sign up for ability to debit funds directly from your bank account, transfer to somebody else. It might be powered by Ayoconnect's direct debit solutions as well. We help account opening, so you can digitally open accounts with the whole verification phase as well, where you will be able to not only open your account but deposit money and have a source of funds to transfer out of there. So we are enabling account opening through APIs. You want to pay your utilities on a monthly basis, right? Your electricity bills, your water bills. We have recurring payment options for utilities that can be set up through APIs as well. Some other use cases are paying for your credit card, topping up. You're playing PUBG and you want to top up some credits. You can use our APIs to top up your voucher games. We do also have Rails to do subscription payments. So you want to sign up for Netflix and you want, or your loan repayment, and you want the merchant to deduct funds directly from your bank account on a monthly basis based on your consent. We do provide APIs for that as well. We also provide APIs to understand customers' income data, expense data as well based on our stacks, and as well as account statement and balance to understand customer spend, and also provide access to your transactional data for further analysis. So what this slide provides is, we do provide all of these solutions, but the end customer will never know that they're using Ayoconnect stack, right? We want to work with our merchants, and we want to enable our merchants um, to launch these products on their panel, on their platforms, by using our APIs. And that's kind of where we are. We want to stay in the background. We are happy to be there, and we're happy to build these rails for these different merchants out there. To give you a little bit about our clients, we do have different domains that we are linked up to. The big banks of Indonesia, Mandiri, BRI, BNI, we provide products, and they're connected to us both as supply and as a merchant as well. Your lenders and your multi-finance companies like Home Credit, Eon, they use our rails to support their customers. Large tech like Bukalapak, very set up in the ecosystem. GoPay, which a lot of you guys might own, they have a tech office in India as well. And Financial, which runs Dana, Shopee, as well as a tech office in India. So a lot of the large techs are already connected to us. As well as excited to be part of emerging tech, the next unicorns of Indonesia. Linkaja, JDID, Bukukas, these guys are exciting, they're growing, and we are happy to support their growth. But we are also connected to the more traditional retail players, been in the market for a couple of decades. The retail chain stores like Indomaret, Alphamart, Pegadaian, and train ticket APIs, etc. As well as we have APIs that connect to government bodies and help them collect tax payments, land property tax, etc. etc. So we are integrated with different domains, different players, different scale as well. But we help all of these guys seamlessly integrate financial products on their system, help them manage it, help them grow their business as well. So let's take an example of Ayoconnect and open banking, right? And something we've launched recently. So if you see here on the left-hand side, you have the banks, which want to kind of open up their APIs to fintech players. And on the right-hand side, we have the merchants and the fintechs who want to enable these products for their customers. Well, how Ayoconnect comes in is we help the bank create the right product infrastructure so they can seamlessly open multiple products from their end to fintech players. We help support them with additional services of merchant management, with settlement, with reconciliation, etc. as well. On the other side, from a merchant, merchant wants to, let's take an example of account opening. Merchant wants to enable a bank account opening on its platform. In a normal use case, they would have to connect to multiple banks, have a touch point with them, have a legal agreement, integrate individual APIs. But if they connect with Ayoconnect, they get one particular API framework, one API for all account openings, and it eases their whole effort into integration. So our key aim here is to make it easier for fintechs and be the middle layer where we are handling the abstraction of the APIs. We're handling additional features like possibly fraud detection systems, possibly monitoring of transactions, settlement, invoicing, and also giving them the ability to connect to multiple vendors to integrate APIs. And especially for merchants to focus on monetizing their customer base, to focus on increasing their volumes, and to focus on stickiness of their customers. So we take away all the operational load from them and make sure that they are focusing on customers and not on the integration. So this is a little bit of an introduction of Ayoconnect and the ecosystem. If you want to know more about this, our CEO Jacob Ross gave a nice presentation on the vision of Ayoconnect and ecosystem in an earlier API Day Singapore presentation. Feel free to search for it on YouTube and view it. There's a lot more details on the business side on that. But let's get into the topic of the technology and architecture of the system we've made. So to give you a little bit of a high level architecture of what how we have designed this and planned this out. Our key aspect is we have a presentation layer That's the layer that's open to public access, and that's the only one that the public URLs can access. We have mostly our UIs running on there, our merchant portals, our developer portals. We have some embedded views for consent, for binding, for signing up on certain products. These are mostly presented to customers or merchants directly, but they don't have access to any of our internal services. Then the presentation layer connects to the business layer, which is our API gateway, which is built on Apigee. And the external gateway has authentication, product management, and product setup as well. So that's the one that helps us manage our merchants, our products. Coming down to the product services, these are our key API products, and these are some examples we've given you. But as and when we add product API products to our stack, we add them to the product services layer. So for some examples, the account verification, the direct debit, the phone check, disbursement, account opening. So these are all set of individual services that are drivers for those individual APIs that connect to platform services, that connect to integration services to make sure that they can perform their function as per expectation. Then we have another layer, which is the integration services, and they are very linked to banks and our external APIs that we integrate. So for example, here is we have for example 3 banks. So a bank A service might have multiple services within it that can connect to. You can have a direct debit service for Bank A. You can have an account opening service for Bank A. You can have a card management service for Bank A, and then Bank B and Bank C. So all of these services have a controller that makes sure that based on the API request that we get, we send it to that particular service, and that connects to the external API through a secure connection. It's mostly via a VPN connection or a firewall, and that's how we've broken it down on the integration services bit. On the platform services are our common services that are used by most of the product integration services. So logging of transactions and monetizing them, tracking customer merchant users and what products they have signed up for and their consent, managing vendors, managing merchants, managing reconciliation for the whole system that includes invoicing, settlement, disputes as well. And one important part of it is managing consent. Being open finance is very important to get the right consent from the customer in order to enable certain APIs for them. And that's the consent services that we have linked in here. All of these are linked to a data storage layer. And if you see some examples of, we have got individual databases for our transactions, for banks, for merchants. There are certain databases that are shared between services based on certain rules, but they're all within a access level that they can do. And we also have the Redis cache layer as well as the GCS file storage. So overall, that's kind of an architecture. Of course, we have the monitoring and logging, and because we are on Google Cloud, we use Google services like trace monitoring, profiler, logging alerts, and cloud dashboards. So overall, all of these layers have their own security groups, and they're connected securely across them. So only the services that have access to certain other services can be accessed, and that's kind of how we've kind of done the high-level architecture. Of course, as and when we add more products, we add more integration services, we might build more layers, or we might just add service accounts to these. So that's the overview of the high-level architecture. Let's move on to a little bit of the high-level network flow. So going back to the previous one, just converting that into a network flow, you have your presentation layer, which can be accessed via mobile devices, via web, via APIs. The presentation layer only has access to a public VPC where the API gateway is hosted. It does not have access to any of the private VPC services. The API gateway handles authentication and verifying the merchant and the request that's coming in. Once that is requested, it sends a secure connection via VPC peering to a private VPC, which handles all our functional services. So as earlier, you have your key product services, which are your direct debit, your bank account verifications, your account openings, and those services kind of understand which platform services to use, which consent services to call, which integration services to call, and make sure that all the events that are passed through them are properly replied back and sent back to the merchants or customers. And of course, all of these services connect to our database layer, which is Redis and MySQL. Um, from the external vendors, we have a firewall or VPN that allows certain connections through a NAT, so they don't really connect to the private VPC directly. It's through a gateway again, and the firewall and or VPN makes sure that the connections to the external vendors are secure. An interesting bit here is the data layer, and it's just an example of how we've built this out. One of our key things was to secure security of our data and make sure that data is protected on our systems. So we don't have any direct access to our core databases of MySQL. But what we have done is we built a data stream that pulls only the necessary data from our databases to the data to cloud storage that's securely encrypted and stored, and to make sure that data stream only has the queries that are the data that is needed for accessing certain tools. So that makes sure that the databases are not accessed all the time. They're kept in a secure VPC and only accessed by the services that I have allowed there. But we always need data for monitoring, for analysis, for reconciliation, for example. So what we've done here is we've set up very specific queries for each use case of the data layer, and we've created materialized views on BigQuery that enable easy access for each of those tools. So Retool is just an example we are using for our internal monitoring tool. And what we do here is the data queries that are required by BigQuery on this is they already created materialized views on BigQuery so that they can be easily accessed on that. So that is an overall architecture of how we've created our high-level network flow. Of course, the VPC peering here gives a layer of security. There are access IAM service accounts set up for accesses between services, so they can only access certain things. The MySQL databases are set up per service so that they can only access a particular service as set up in the access level. And then we have a very secure connection to our external vendors based on their requirements and how we got that done. So that's a high level network flow of our architecture and how we've done that. Quickly to go on our tech stack. So of course we are on Google Cloud. We're using Google Cloud services, including Apigee. We've completely built them on Go using a microservice architecture, event based. React is for our front end, and Python is being used for our data pipelines. Pretty much, that's where it's being used. From the database perspective, we have MySQL, Redis as the cache layer, and Google BigQuery as the data warehouse, as explained earlier for the materialized views. And then with DevOps, we already have Sonar Cloud for coverage and security. We use the Bitbucket ecosystem for repositories and pipelines. Everything is Dockerized and running on Cloud Run, so they are all containerized microservices. And then Open Telemetry is used for tracing, and Trivy is used for our security scans and VAPT scans while we're deploying services. So all of these, going back to the slide of architecture, all of these are set up to be automated deployment. There is no manual deployment throughout. All our environments, and we have dev stage and production and even pre-production, they're all set up through pipelines. We've set up a trunk-based development so that we can easily launch code bases using feature flags, and that's kind of how we've designed and securely designed the system going forward. That's a little overview. I hope I'm on time. I think so too, and hope you guys have got a good insight of how we've architectured our open finance system and how we've kind of designed for future scale as well. Happy to answer any questions from anybody out there.
Okay, thank you, Adi. So, Adi, you're perfectly on time, right? Watching the clock here. Actually, I believe you've been with API Days before. You've spoken before.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah.
I was there for API Days Singapore last year.
Yeah. I was remembering, and I do have a question on what's changed in the year, but we have some questions in the chat. We have about 5 minutes. Would you be ready to answer them now?
Absolutely, happy to answer.
If I just go from the top down, okay. So the first one is okay, Rudolph. Okay, let me read it as it is. Okay, hold on. The chat window is just moving. So merchant APIs. Okay, right. So merchant side APIs. What format? REST API, Open API framework, or is it based on vendor, such as the banks, right, using their APIs? So I
No.
guess what
Um,
formats? Hmm.
yeah, it's actually REST APIs, but we do have to follow certain regulatory standards defined by Bank of Indonesia in Indonesia, of course. So there's a format called Snap, and that's what we follow. But they're all REST APIs.
Okay. Another. Thank you. I hope that answers Rudolph. Another one from Rudolph, because it follows on quite nicely, is about event-driven architecture. I mean, you touched on it. Do you use a publish and subscribe model,
Yes, we
or do you
do.
have it? Do you have event-driven? Yeah.
It's a mix actually. There are certain places where there's event driven, and then there's somewhere there's publish and subscriber interface as well. So we do both, but we're using PubSub for our publish and subscriber
Okay.
workloads.
Thank you. Thanks, Rudolph. Now, a question from Hasham here. Okay, so this is a general question around monetization of the APIs. All right, so we don't have a particular business scenario, but what function in your what functionality do you provide for that? And he's referring to the high level architecture diagram. How do you monetize the services if I'm a merchant or a
That's a
supplier?
good question, and actually, it's a per use case basis. Certain APIs are monetized per ping, so there's a charge per ping based on usage of the customer. Certain APIs are monetized on MDR, or you could call it the price of the product and how much the customer is paying, and a percentage of that is kind of monetized on based on that. But the way we've built it out is we've done a custom setup where we can have multiple ways to set up API monetization. As I mentioned, it could be a set price per ping, it could be a percentage of a certain parameter, or a percentage plus a set price. And also, we do have different packages for our merchants based on their usage, their scale, and the future functionality there, and how many products they have integrated within our system.
Yeah, it's a very flexible platform with lots of different industries and
Yes.
subdomains, and that's a whole nother topic, isn't it? I think you just touched on that.
Yeah.
All right. So the fact is, there's a lot of monetization options, right? Which for the users, wherever they are in the value chain.
Absolutely. And we do
Mm.
customize it also based on merchants, based on their use cases. But pretty much the three or four different options is either is it charge per ping based on your usage? Is it a percentage of the value of the transaction? Or could be percentage plus a set charge as well. So that, and of course for the subscription payments, it could be number of subscribers, monthly subscribers as well. So it's a different way of monetizing all of these products that we built in the system.
Yeah, so many iterations. Hasham has another question regarding customers onboarding. Okay, so technically speaking, which part is more challenging, onboarding a fintech or integrating a bank?
Very,
So
very well.
yeah, that could mean a number of things. I'll let you interpret it.
Yeah, I think for me, I think onboarding a fintech can be optimized because it's on us, right? The more the better we build our onboarding systems, the more automated APIs we have to verify certain documents, what verify certain merchants and their products. We can keep working on it, improving that onboarding part. But from a bank perspective, there are set rules, there are set ways, set methods that the banks expect, and that's something that we can't move away from. So that's one of the things I think where we have worked on over the last 6 years is to make sure that our relationship with the banks and integrating banking APIs on our platform could be done in a seamless way. But actually, I just rethought of this question. I'm guessing Hashan means fintech versus bank on from the merchant perspective. Fintech is a lot easier and a lot more in control than a bank. That's the bottom line.
Yeah, it's also to do with the design process as well, right? It's
Absolutely.
legacy versus something new. So with that, we're right on the money, right on the time. The session is done. Thanks so much, Adi. Uh, so with that, thank everyone for their questions. Hope they're answered, and a pleasure meeting you again. Uh, Thanks
Same
for
here,
coming.
Jonathan. Yep.
Okay,
Thank you. Thank you,
have a good
guys.
day. Bye bye.